Dear students, it is my great pleasure to welcome you all to this lecture video. This lecture video is about Module 3, and I will solve a couple of problems from Module 3. The first problem I want to solve is compute return on assets, ROA, and adjusted ROA. We have 2 years of data, 2019 and 2018. We have net income, interest expense, and average total assets. Which ratio removes the effect of the company's financing decisions from the ratio? The two ratios this question is talking about is ROA and adjusted ROA. So what is ROA? The ROA is return on assets, which is equal to net income divided by average total. What about adjusted ROA or return on assets? We have to make some adjustments to the net income. Net income plus net interest expense times 1 minus the tax rate. And then we'll divide the entire thing by average total assets. So what we see here, in case of return on assets, when we calculate net income, we subtract interest expense, which is not an operating decision. It is a financing decision. In case of adjusted return on assets, we add back the net interest expense after taxes. So we are actually taking the effect of interest expense, which is a financing decision, in the adjusted ROA. So adjusted ROA is the ratio that removes the effect of the company's financing decision. So it will be adjusted ROA. Now we have to compute return on assets for 2018 and 2019. So the numerator I have already mentioned is net income. Denominator is average total assets. In case of 2018, our net income is $1,995. Average total assets are $5,174. So we are calculating return on assets. In percent, so 38.56%. Similarly, in 2019, our net income is 1,747. And our average total assets 5,134. 34.03. Next question is compute adjusted return on assets. So we have to adjust the net income for interest expenses after tax. So our numerator will be we'll write down in short net income instead. Denominator average total assets as before. For 2018, we have net income of 1995. Our interest expense net was we are working on 2018. Let me write that down. And then our interest expense 937. And then times 1 minus the tax rate. Tax rate is 22%, so 0.22. It would be actually 949. Looking at the wrong number. Now, 1995 plus let me redo this. 1995 plus I will calculate 1 minus 0.22, 1 minus 0.22, which is 0.78, and then multiply by 949, which is 740.22. Then I'll add this to 1995. 2,735.22. Very good. I'll copy this number. Here, our assets do not change. But this ratio will be 52.86%. For 2019, we'll follow the same process. Our net income was 1747. Plus 937 times 1 minus 0.3, which will be 1,747 plus add this to net income. And I will our average total assets do not change. And the ratio will be 48.26. Now, part 3. Compute the percentage difference between ROA and adjusted ROA for 2018 and 2019. So the difference between ROA and adjusted ROA. Our ROA, these are our ROAs. And these are our adjusted ROAs. So for 2018, what we have to do, we have to take the adjusted ROA, which is 52.86, and all of them are in percentage, so I'll ignore the percentage. 52.86 minus 38.56 divided by 38.56. So 52.86 minus 38.56 divided by 38.56. So 37.09. Similarly, for 2018, we'll take adjusted ROA of 48.26, subtract ROA of 34.03. The 41.82. Are the two ratios materially different from each other? Let's compare them. So in 2018, ROA was 38.56 only, adjusted ROA was 52.86. So yes, in 2018, they're different. In 2019, 34.03 versus 48.26. They are also materially different. So yes. So that was the end of the problem. Now, a new problem. Compute, disaggregate, and interpret RNOA of competitors. So RNOA. RNOA, return on net operating assets. We have again two companies' data. Dolly Parton and Schlumberger. Barger. I'm not sure the right way to pronounce this one. Refer to the following 2018 financial data for the two companies to answer the requirements. Okay. Compute return on net operating assets for each company, numerator and denominator. So what is return on net operating assets? It is equal to net operating profit after tax. In short, NOPAT, a very important metric. Divided by average net operating. So we need to calculate NOPAT, we need to calculate average net operating assets. First, I'll write down this one in the numerator. Our denominator is this. Now, net operating profit after tax. How to calculate net operating profit after tax, or NOPAT in short. So NOPAT, there are multiple ways to calculate NOPAT. In this case, we are going to use NOPAT is equal to net income plus net non-operating expense. Which in short is NNE. So net income plus net non-operating expense. So we know net income directly for each company. How do we calculate NNE? So NNE can be calculated as pre-tax NNE times 1 minus the tax rate. So what is pre-tax NNE? It is given to us. Pre-tax net non-operating expense. So let us work on HAL, the first company. So our NOPAT will be so net income, which is 41 now plus net non-operating expense, which is equal to pre-tax net non-operating expense times 1 minus the tax rate. So the tax rate is 22% for HL. Let's calculate that. So 3,383.86. So I'm going to write this down here. Now, average net operating assets. How do we calculate average net operating assets? This is equal to your net operating assets is equal to operating assets minus operating liabilities. So for HAL, net operating assets, NOA in short, operating assets are 1,045. And operating liabilities are this number is correct. I'm going to write this down here. Now calculate the ratio. Remember, return on net operating assets is equal to NOPAT divided by average net operating assets. So 3,800, 3,383. So 19.37%. We'll follow the same process for SLB, our second company. The NOPAT is equal to net income, which is this number, plus our pre-tax net non-operating expense, which is this number, times 1 minus the tax rate. which will be okay. Made a mistake here. The tax rate changes 19%. 19%, not 22%. So I'm redoing it. $3,760.1. I'm going to copy this number, paste here. Our average net operating assets is equal to our average operating assets minus average operating liabilities. $51,337. So we can calculate the ratio now. (7.32%). So moving on to part B. Disaggregate RNOA, return on net operating assets, into net operating profit margin and net operating asset turnover. So first we have to calculate net operating profit margin, in short, NOPM. So what is NOPM? It's equal to net operating profit after tax, in short, NOPAT, divided by sales. So we'll write down NOPAT here, and here, sales. We already calculated NOPAT, so we are going to copy paste these numbers. And our sales, which is the same thing as revenue, I'm going to calculate them now. So 13.71%. Next one. Eleven point 22%. Now we have to calculate NOAT, which is net operating asset turnover. Which is equal to sales divided by average net operating assets. So net operating asset turnover. So our numerator is sales. Our denominator is average net operating assets. Our sales, we already have them here, so I'm going to just copy paste. And average NOA. We also calculated them. Average net operating assets. So we have to do now, calculate these ratios. The 1.41. Next one is six five. So that's the end of this problem. Moving on to the next problem. So in our next problem, we have to compute NOPAT, which is net operating profit after tax. We have information here. Tax rate 22%. It also says calculate NOPAT using the formula NOPAT is equal to net income plus NNE, which we already used before. So NOPAT is equal to net income plus NNE. Net income is this much. Now, how much is our NNE? Remember that we can calculate NNE if we know pre-tax NNE. Pre-tax net non-operating expense and the tax rate. We know the tax rate, 22%. Now, pre-tax net non-operating expense. In this case, we have to find out which items are non-operating expense. So cost of sales is operating, selling, general, and admin is operating, pension settlement is operating, interest expense is non-operating. Remember, it is a financing decision. So 9,237. That is the only net non-operating expense. 1 minus the tax rate, 32%. See how much we get. Okay, let me start over. This is not a very advanced calculator, so if this is correct, I'm going to copy this and paste here. So 3,065,494.86. We also need to write down the net income separately and NNE separately. So our NNE is equal to this part. Let me recalculate this portion. Now compute NOPT using the formula NOPT is equal to NOPBT minus tax on operating profit. Now NOPBT is equal to net operating profit before taxes. Which is equal to sales minus cost of goods sold minus operating expenses. So our net operating profit before tax will be, so we subtracted sales, we subtracted cost of goods sold from sales. We subtracted selling, general, and admin, which is also operating expense, pension operating expense. But interest expense is not. So what we have to do, minus our cost of goods sold minus our operating expenses, which are this plus this. So only operating expenses. Interest expense is not an operating expense. It's down. Is minus up to the subtraction. We'll copy this. This is our NOPBT, net operating profit before taxes. Now, tax on operating profit. That is equal to we'll take the tax expense and adjust with pre-tax NNE times the tax rate. So our tax expense is this much. Plus our pre-tax NNE. Our pre-tax NNE times the tax rate. So pre-tax NNE was only the interest expense times the tax rate 0.22. So this is correct. 0.2 and 2. Now we have to use this formula, NOPBT minus tax on operating profit. I'm going to do the subtraction now. we arrived at the same numbers. So that is it for our today's lecture video. I hope it was helpful for you. I will see you in the next lecture video. Take care, guys. Bye.